Hey everyone, and welcome to Comic Breakdown. And this afternoon, we're going to be jumping right back in to Future State. And this issue is going to be Future State, The Next Batman, issue number 2. We are also going to cover one of the side stories, Batgirls. But it does also include Gotham City Sirens. And this is all taking place during 2025, so this is the beginning of Future State. Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, is perceived dead, and Jace Fox has taken over the mantle as Batman. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with the Future State event, go ahead and check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It'll get you completely caught up on everything Future State related. And with that being said, let's dive into this issue. So John Ridley drops us into issue number 2 with the new Batman investigating a murder. Because while the city may look like it's thriving, at least during the daytime, you have a huge restaurant scene, live music, the skyline at sunset. Batman's telling us just how amazing it really is during the day. But once the sun goes down, Gotham has little more to offer than violence and murder. And so as Batman comes up to this crime scene, he sees this individual dead on the ground, blood still fresh. Police haven't arrived yet, which means this hasn't been reported, the drones haven't picked it up yet, and this just recently happened. And this is where he sees a surveillance camera behind him. And this part, I really feel like this is how we know this guy just isn't meant for the role of Batman, because he uses an explosive to get into this building. You gotta think there's some kind of easier way to get in here when it's just some random building on the side of the street. And even in the panel, it looks like that there's a window off to the left. And seemingly, this is simply just a coffee shop. So why the theatrics of throwing an explosive onto a coffee shop makes absolutely no sense to me. But we see Batman run in, check out their surveillance, and see two individuals that set up a planned attack. And they're wearing some polygon masks. And these masks are essentially designed to beat facial recognition AI. And so now with the images of the perps finally in his hands, he sends it to Val. And he asks Val to try and find their location. Now, Batman originally thought he had a couple minutes before the Magistrate would arrive, but they're getting better, they're getting faster, and they arrived 40 seconds sooner, and Batman is now trapped inside of there with them. And this is where he fights his way out, but using non-lethal, because at the end of the day, he sees them as people just doing their job, which I don't know if I can agree with, considering they are the Magistrate, and they're literally putting Gotham City into a police state. Regardless if you're just following orders or not, that's exactly what the Nazis had said post-World War II. But with this, he makes his way out of the coffee shop and into the street. And this is where he's met by reinforcements of the Magistrate. And nothing he is using non-lethal is working. So unless he wants to kick it up a notch and go lethal, use fatal force, he's going to have to hightail it. And that's exactly what he does. But he takes a round to the side before making it to his motorcycle and getting the heck out of there. And it seems to be that they've been tracking his phone. So now Batman is essentially having to use burner phones and one call and ditching it. Now, this could be a jab at how unprepared he is to be Batman, or this could be a compliment to the Magistrate and how quickly they're able to coordinate and use things like cell phone detection and tracking on the cell phone. And so Batman goes to hideout. Though he was shot in the side, the suit with its compression packs built in are stopping him from bleeding out. And this is when he gets the notification of the location of the two individuals that beat that man to death in the street. And at this point, Batman's not even sure if he's able to take on these two psychopaths. Like, he's literally shot in the side. He's not sure if he's even going to be able to fight. But he's hoping that fear is going to play a part. Fear of the bat symbol. Fear of the Batman. Hopefully that alone will make them surrender. But it doesn't. And our two perps attack him aggressively. But Batman's able to put these guys down. And then that's when one of them takes off the helmet and takes off her hood and lets him know that they give up. And this is where Batman asks them why. Why did they murder this individual? And then they tell us their story. The reason why they brutally murdered this guy in the street. And it lets us know that this guy was a pedophile. He would go online, groom young children, and then meet them in real life and do things to them. And one of those children happened to be their daughter. He had met her on social media. He got into her head and got her to come visit him. And then they never saw her again. The police did an investigation, but he was never explicit online. He didn't pay for the ticket himself, and they never found their daughter's body. So the police hands were tied. And so they decided to take justice into their own hands. And the way that the parents see it is he was a murderer and the guilty deserve to be punished. And she turns to him and she says, you know, "You're Batman. Don't you believe that?" And this is where Jace is really having to find out where his line is, because he definitely believes in justice. He definitely believes the guilty should be punished. And though they don't have 100% certainty that this man did kill their daughter, it's highly probable that that's the case. And so we have Batman very conflicted on this situation. I know me personally, I would let them walk. I'd be like, all right, see you guys later. Like, you guys just killed a pedophile. Nobody cares about that. And Batman tells them, you know, it's still murder. And their response is simply, what else could you do to us? We have literally nothing left. Our little girl was taken from us. What could you take from us that hasn't already been taken? And then this is when we see the arrival of the Magistrate. Now that will be the end for that part. We are going to jump into Batgirls now, following Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown. And it picks us up at the Magistrate Detention Facility. And they're getting the arrival of somebody new, Cassandra Cain. And Cassandra Cain seemingly has been the right hand of Nightwing and the vigilante resistance. And now having her detained, they want information from her. And so they're essentially going to throw her into Gen Pop. And once they feel like she's had enough of a beating from the inmates that want to beat the heck out of her, maybe she'll be more willing to divulge some information to them. And this is where she finds out that her cellmate is none other than Steph. And everyone refers to Steph as a traitor. Something happened. Nightwing deemed her a traitor to the cause, and ever since then, she's essentially been a bad guy. And these two, you know, they sit down and have like an aggressive conversation because they've had a falling out for a long time. Cass just doesn't trust her anymore, and by all accounts, she has no reason to. Now, Cass is here for a specific reason. She's trying to find something. There's something here that she needs to find to investigate further. But she learns out real quick that Steph has made it literally impossible for her to actually be able to talk to anybody. And nobody is willing to talk to her, and all of them direct them in the direction of Steph. And so these two finally get somewhere quiet where they're able to talk. And we see a fight that seems like it's been long drawn out. Now, while these two are fighting, Steph is trying to tell Cass something. She's not able to get it out because she's just trying to defend herself this whole time. But we see her stick something into Cass's pocket. And then one of the guards comes in and electrifies them and throws them into solitary. And as Cass gets her food for the day, she sees an earpiece on the tray and puts it in her ear. And this is where her and Steph have a conversation. And Steph lets her know that she was never a traitor. She's always been on the same side. Back when they lost Oracle and Batman perceived dead, she lost hope. And she went to Nightwing, begged him to cast a wider net to work with some of the other Blackcoats to find her. But he refused to do it, said it undermined the whole resistance and everything that they were doing. But he agreed to let her get her hands dirty, to do what was needed on the other side. And so she went deep undercover, was portrayed as a traitor to the resistance. That way she could get deep inside and find out exactly what's going on. And this is when Kaz lets her know that a few months ago they started getting messages. They couldn't track them, not with Oracle gone, but they had seemed genuine. They were simple and effective. The Bat was alive. And the coordinates pointed them to this retention center. And that's when we see a couple cells below Barbara Gordon tied up to some kind of machine. Now, Cass and Steph both believe that Batman could possibly be in this facility below them. They don't know that it's Barbara Gordon. And so they get everybody together and they need to plan a distraction to be able to get to the lower levels. And so we see the beginning of a prison riot. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. This is the next Batman issue number 2. I personally am not the hugest fan of it. I like John Ridley's writing. I think he's doing a good job in writing it. I think the character, and maybe it's written this way specifically for that, but the character is just not Batman. He can't live up to the mantle. He doesn't have the skills or the know-how to be able to operate in this capacity. And we're seeing him be clumsy. We're seeing him be reckless. You know, maybe it's a Batman that could develop over time, but as it stands, this guy is probably the last one that should be putting on the cowl. And I think John Ridley is making a good point in writing that in there. I think he's intentionally letting us know that this isn't the Batman of Bruce Wayne. This isn't the Batman that Damian would be. This isn't the Batman that Dick Grayson would be. This isn't the Batman that Tim Drake would be. And I think that's what helps bring the downfall of Gotham later on, and how the world keeps descending further into darkness, is because we have people like Jace who take up the mantle of Batman, but don't necessarily have the skills or the ability to be able to fill those shoes. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. Give me a sub. If you want to support the channel through Patreon, there's a link down in the description that you can do that. Got a bunch of exclusives, fun stuff. Check out my podcast, Comic Breakdown and More Podcast, every Friday. There's links for that in the description as well. And until the next video.